In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
Looking for whole food supplements for your ketogenic lifestyle? Then let me introduce you to Further Food. Go to furtherfood.com and you'll see that they source the highest quality ingredients on the planet. They have collagen peptides and my favorite, the gelatin powder to make those yummy gummies. And all of it is sourced from grass-fed, pasture-raised bovine collagen from Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. This is really high-quality collagen and gelatin. There's no hormones or antibiotics, it's non-GMO, and it's the most tasteless and easiest to use on the market. And if you're not using collagen and gelatin, you need to be adding this to your ketogenic lifestyle. Collagen will help you curb your carb cravings. Again, head on over to furtherfood.com, enter the coupon code Jimmy at checkout, and you'll get 20% off your order. Elevate your wellness. Further Food. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. If you want to engage live in the content, you gotta follow me, which if you're on this channel, you're following me, so thank you for that. Please share the word all about this Jimmy Rants show. Go follow me at Living Low Carb Man on Instagram. We do have it also simulcasting over here on Facebook, so whichever way you want to watch, it's all good. So watch it live, engage live. And today you're going to be very happy that you engaged live in this one because we're going to go really, really deep today, you guys. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours here on Instagram. It does stay here over on Facebook, but regardless, if you've missed any of the past episodes, go find the past ones. They're all on YouTube now. I want to say this is like episode 296. So if you're brand new to the show, you got a lot of catching up to do. Go check them out on YouTube. Type in a keyword Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, the best of the best moments of this here show are in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast. I just noticed, Kimberly, you're both on Instagram Live and on Facebook Live. How did you do that, my dear? 2 different devices? She thought I wouldn't notice. That's pretty funny. Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcast as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants is gonna get deep, so I hope you're ready for this one, you guys. I know a lot of times I come on here and I'm ranting about some anti-keto article or the crazy things that the vegans are doing and other such nutritional health types of things. But today we're gonna get deep into a little bit of psychology of people who still have weight on their bodies and the way that they are perceived in the culture. Because a lot of us that have had extra weight on our body, we have seen the stares that people have. We have gotten the scorn of society, kind of thumbing their nose up at us and going, I just wish you'd get your act together. Even when you go to see your doctor, they will even chide you about your weight and maybe even predicate their treatment of you based on your current weight. Anybody ever noticed that before? You know you have. So what I want to talk about here today, though, is there's someone else that is biased against you because of your weight. You want to know who that is? It's you. So what I want to talk about is the fat bias that you're giving yourself making you think you're unhealthy? Think about that one a little bit, especially those of you that have embraced some kind of a health journey, be it a low-carb ketogenic lifestyle or whatever you're doing. I talk to a lot of people that eat keto and a lot of people that eat keto that still have weight on their body. And I want you to really seriously dig deep on this one, you guys. I got a great article out of the Huffington Post that talks about this. It's pretty long, and it's a personal story from this lady named Lesley Kinzel. But she makes the argument that with all the fat bias that we think is so abhorrent, and it is, that's in our society, the biggest fat bias that happens is what we do to ourselves. All right, let's read this. 7 years ago, I found myself at the base of a mountain in New Hampshire. A group of us were going on a moderate hike. Me, my then spouse, my father, and some family friends. The hike would end at the top of the mountain where we would be rewarded with a gorgeous view and a picnic lunch. It was a hike that said family friends had done many times before. Aside from myself and my ex, everyone here was over the age of 60. We walked through the woods along a gentle sloping trail that grew steeper, and she has asthma. I do have asthma, and while this was part of the reason for my anxiety about the hike, it wasn't the core of it. I exercised regularly. I wasn't good at inclines, though. I got winded quickly. Oddly enough, I didn't blame my asthma. I blamed myself and my fat body. So you see how the psychology already plays into it. Oh, well, I have this medical condition of asthma, but it's got to be because of my weight that I'm having trouble. Anybody been there? Yeah. I'd spent weeks before this trip amending my usual gym routine to include ever-increasing inclines on the treadmill, trying to build up the stamina on the climb. It really didn't matter, though. 20 minutes into the hike, I was wheezing so bad. I lagged far behind the group. Eventually, one of my family friends fell back, paused with me. He put a hand on my shoulder, looked me in my eyes, and quietly asked how I was doing, but I didn't answer him. His kindness and subtlety almost made me sob, as if everyone in the group, and for that matter, every person passing us on this heavily trafficked trail, wasn't aware that I just simply couldn't do this. As we turned back, I used my rescue inhaler, as I was doing 5 or 6 times a day. It was my only asthma medication at the time. I was relieved but also miserable because I had failed to do something that people decades older than me seemed to be doing without any issues at all. Why had I failed in spite of all my preparation for this? There was only one answer, although it wasn't one I wanted to admit to myself. I was fat. We've been there, guys. You know your brain has gone there. You know that there are times in your life when you're unable to do certain things that you blame on your fatness. You blame on the fact that you have extra weight on your body. And it's a psychological thing, you guys, where we tell ourselves, even though we might have a medical condition like this lady here, Lesley, by the way, if you're just joining us, we're reading from a Huffington Post article by Lesley Kinzel about the fat bias that we have against ourselves that are making us think that we're unhealthy because of our fatness, not because, in this case with Lesley, of her asthma. She has a medical condition of asthma, and yet she didn't blame it on the asthma that she couldn't climb the mountain. It was her fatness. We've been there. This is real today, you guys. I hope this resonates, because this is a more common problem than anybody wants to talk about, which is why we're talking about it on Jimmy Rants. This is the point where most readers will assume they know where I'm going with this inspirational story. I had a wake-up call on that mountain. I knew I needed to change my lifestyle or be doomed. I did these things and lost X number of pounds, climbed that mountain a year later, triumphant, healthy, moral, pure, and no longer fat. The missing information, though, is I've been a vocal advocate for fat positivity for over 2 decades. I had stacks and stacks of research and experience that told me my problem was not that simple. Fatness is not a universal indicator of bad fitness, no matter what conventional wisdom might tell us. Fat people run marathons, climb mountains, compete as Olympic athletes, and even if it was my fatness that was stopping me on that mountain, well, we still don't have a safe and effective way of making fat people permanently thin, so it hardly seems worth trying to scale 90% failure rates for weight loss diets or the copious side effects, complications, and nutritional deficiencies that can be associated with weight loss surgery. If my fat was keeping me from hiking, I figured I'd have to just learn to accept that. Let me correct something in here. I don't think that the fact that there's 90-something% fail rate on people that go on a diet is reason for you to not do something. It's one thing that's led so many of us to keto. The reason keto was so attractive to so many of us is it was unlike any of the other conventional wisdom diets that's been out there, where we felt like we had to starve ourselves. Anybody have a rabbit food diet before? Yeah, we're all hungry still from those diets. And so if you could find a way of eating that's pleasurable, enjoyable, you still get fulfilling, delicious foods. That's what keto has done for so many of us. And so I disagree with her saying, well, it's just not worth going down that path again if there's like a 90-something% failure rate, talking about general diets. But I don't think the failure rate of keto per se is that high. I bet you once people get bacon on the lips and full fat meats and cheeses and all the delicious vegetables and everything that you can have on a ketogenic diet, you get a lot of retention, let's put it that way, of the people eating this way. If you're just joining us, we're reading from a Huffington Post article from this lady named Lesley Kinzel. Very well written article. I hope you go look it up. The title, Fat Bias Kept Me Sick, but Not in the Way You Think. And we're going over how the fat bias that we hold against ourselves, making us think that we're unhealthy, is just dead wrong. And yet we hold that fat bias. We want to lament that people in society treat us differently because of our weight. And they do. Anybody that's been overweight, obese, you know what I'm talking about. They treat you differently, but do you treat yourself differently? So this is a really interesting article. Let me continue. I still didn't think much about my asthma. I had medication for it, or so I thought, so thus it could not be the problem. In fact, I'd had asthma for years before getting any kind of formal diagnosis. I just thought my occasional gasping for breath was stress or a lack of fitness, even though I exercised more consistently than anyone I knew. So she ignored the symptoms that she had asthma for years because she thought, oh, I'm fat. This is what you're supposed to feel like. I wonder how many people that deal with a weight problem, overweight or obesity, I wonder how many of them suppress symptoms that are obvious medical issues simply because they think, oh, this is what fat people are supposed to feel like. I told you we're going to get deep today, you guys, real here on Jimmy Rants. I assumed that breathing hard was just a part of being fat, she said, until one night my lungs seemed to close up completely. I tried to get to my car, but finally I had to call an ambulance to take me to the ER. After this event, my doctor sent me for testing, prescribed me medication. 2 inhalers, 1 twice daily medicine with a name I don't remember, and a second one for acute attacks. I took the first one for a year and then I stopped it. It wasn't helping me seemingly, and it made my mouth feel gross. My doctor said that was fine if I didn't see any improvement with it, so I kept my rescue inhaler only. For the next decade, this little orange and white tube was the only thread between me and another ER visit. I never went anywhere without my inhaler. I panicked if I wasn't immediately nearby, or if it was not nearby. When I swam laps in the pool at the gym, I left everything else in my locker, but I set my inhaler down carefully within arm's length at the edge of my lane just in case I needed it. In the meantime, there was no doctor who ever asked me how the whole breathing thing was going. I came to think of my too frequent rescue inhaler as a normal occurrence. No one asked. I didn't bring it up because, well, remember, I was fat, right? This is what fat people are supposed to deal with. Man, she is like preaching to us some good stuff because she's getting deep into the mentality of someone who deals with weight. And again, if that's you, you know what we're talking about. You're so relating to this story today. I was reading this, you guys, almost half in tears because she's articulating thoughts that are taboo to talk about in society. And again, we don't have anything taboo here on Jimmy Rants. I talk about everything, good, bad, ugly, and even the ugliness that we talk about to ourselves with this whole fat bias. This is the weight of the internalized fat hatred that even I, a person who has written hundreds of thousands of words on this subject over more than 20 years, was still shouldering. I believed I had trouble breathing because I was fat, because, let's face it, fat people are unfit, fat people are sick because they're fat. I believed that wholeheartedly until last year. So, man, we believe this stuff. And especially those of us that eat keto and you still have weight on your body, you might be thinking today, wait a minute, I'm eating this diet that so many people are talking about helps them lose weight and helps them, by extension of that weight loss, get healthy. Can I just tell you that even if the weight doesn't come completely off, you can change your health markers radically that make you far healthier than most of the population, even if on the outside they look at you and they think, oh, that person still has a lot of work to do in their health, even though your health markers are all spectacular. Guys, let's be real. I get this daily. People are like, well, you still have a belly, so therefore you can't possibly be healthy. And yet I would put my health markers up against just about anybody that's the average standard American diet eater. And I guarantee you I'm light years ahead of them in my health. Do I still have weight to lose? You bet I do. Am I working on that? Yes, that's what the Keto Carnivore is about that I'm currently doing. It's why I'm taking 6 months off starting in September through February to try to deal with some stress. I do daily kind of meditation and other stress management type things to bring the stress down that could ostensibly help move the needle. But in the meantime, I'm not beating myself up because, quote, I'm supposed to feel bad because I'm fat, right? And I think far too many of us do that, especially when you're doing, quote, all the right things and you're like, come on, something's gotta give. Why am I still unhealthy when you might be perfectly healthy because of your nutritional choices and your lifestyle choices? Don't think that simply because weight isn't, quote, pouring off your body at a fast rate that you're not somehow helping yourself. And yes, I'm up on my soapbox right now, but this is something that's a passion of mine. I see so many people like this Lesley that they have this fat bias against themselves that they think they're unhealthy when you actually look at all of these health markers and they're incredible. I get these emails every day from people. Oh my gosh, keto is the worst diet in the world. I can't lose any weight on this. And I say, how's your blood sugar? Oh, it's in the 70s and 80s. How's your inflammation markers? Oh, my HSCRP is below 1. How's your triglycerides? Oh, they're under 50. How's your HDL? Oh, it's over 50. What are you worried about? I see it every day. And it's frustrating, guys, because this is exactly what Lesley is describing. We're biased against ourselves because of our fat on our body. Can we stop that? I know you're going to hear all kind of ugliness from other people, but can you at least stop being that way to yourself? Because it's so easy. It's so easy to beat yourself up about this. Because society's doing it already. All you're doing is just joining in with the crowd. And every single one of us that have worked our butts off, literally, to get where we are, you're nowhere near where you were when you first started keto. You always have to be mindful of that. People that know me, people like Luann over here, she knew me when I was 410 pounds. And I was on 3 prescription medications, and I was not in a good place in my health. And keto saved me from that. And I'm standing here 15 years later, yes, still weight on the body. But no, not unhealthy. Nope, not unhealthy. Yes, I have things to work on, and I am working on those things. And I think we need to be encouraging those people. And that includes you yourself, encouraging yourself on a daily basis. Look, I'm no longer eating crappy garbage. I'm no longer making bad choices in my health and my lifestyle. I need to be celebrating, loving myself for making those better choices. Why do we talk so negative to ourselves? We really do. Especially when we have weight on the body. Let's stop beating ourselves up. All right, let me finish this article. After moving to a new state, I needed a new doctor. On my first visit, he glanced over my chart, looked at me with a combination of indignation and annoyance and said, "Why aren't you using an inhaled steroid?" I shrugged. "How often do you use your rescue inhaler?" I told him 4 times a day, given the amount I was technically prescribed, even though my actual use was much higher than that. I lied to him out of fear that I would get a lecture. Instead, he said, "I'm writing you 2 new prescriptions. I want you to stop using that inhaler altogether." My horror must have shown on my face because he explained gently to me, "If you're relying on your rescue inhaler that much, your asthma is moderate to severe. I'm going to give you a better medication and it will help." I didn't believe him. I filled the prescription along with my last refill for my old standby inhaler just in case I needed it. The idea of being without that inhaler even for a day chilled me with fear. I brought all my meds home. I put the new refill for the old inhaler on a shelf in my bathroom, and I started using the new medication. Something truly incredible happened. It's startling how quickly some people adapt to their own discomfort. I had lived with barely medicated asthma for so long, I didn't know what normal breathing was supposed to be like. After the medication switch, I ran up and down stairs for no reason other than to enjoy the sensation of hitting the top of the parking garage, still having air in my lungs. I walked briskly up hills in my new city. I did not enter a store or restaurant or see a second level with concern. I climbed the steps and arrived at the top, breathing at a normal rate, like a normal person with normal breathing. It was incredible. It was like having a new body, except it was my same beloved and valued body as always. It was like having a new life. It was absolutely shattering. Did anything change about her body? Did anything change about her fatness? Did anything change about her perception of why she was struggling, being able to climb that mountain earlier or to be able to climb stairs? Did anything at all change? No. And this is the lesson, you guys. We talk about ourselves in such negative terms when, in fact, we might have some kind of a medical condition that may require new medication or some change in lifestyle or something that could help us deal with that. So why are we blaming all of our woes on our fatness? Why do we still have this fat bias against ourselves that makes us believe in our heart of hearts that we are unhealthy? All right, let me finish up. Those weeks illuminated something, the extent to which my untreated chronic illness had affected my entire life and my ability to engage with the world for so many years. I realized doctors had overlooked my symptoms and failed to treat me effectively. Well, we know how mainstream medicine is, sadly. This is true whether it happened out of simple oversight or full-on anti-fat bias, which is rampant among medical professionals, many of whom will offer the same treatment or will not offer the same treatment to fat patients that they do to thin patients with the same problem out of the mistaken and damaging assumption that fat patients are intrinsically non-compliant or worse, simply not worth the cost and the effort of treating. Man, I have seen those scorn look on doctors' faces before when they see how big I was when I was 410 pounds. And guys, that is a gut-wrenching feeling when you see the kind of snottiness, derision from the mainstream medical profession. They do, man. They got bias against you. But listen to this final few paragraphs. It's pretty poignant. But beyond that, I was angry and upset with myself because fat bias did keep me sick for a very long time. But it wasn't the fat bias of doctors only. It was the fat bias that I had hidden away inside of myself. I never advocated for myself on this issue. I let myself believe I was unhealthy simply because I was fat. So I failed to report my symptoms. We've done that. I'm supposed to feel bad because of my weight on my body. Thus, I don't want to tell my doctor about this. Because if I go to see my doctor, they're going to say, see, I told you, you fatty. Of course, they may not say it in that many words, but that's what the little bubble inside their head's going to say. I told you you were going to be unhealthy because of your fatness. And so we feed into that, and we believe that, and we refuse to tell anybody about that. And this is why you see so many people have chronic health issues develop when they become obese, because they're too afraid to go to their doctor and talk about these things because they don't want to deal with the judgment from them. And they're already in judging themselves that they're in this situation simply because of their weight. Can I get a witness, anyone? You know this is happening. At some point, I remembered that mountain hike and had the crushing revelation that I hadn't failed to climb a mountain because I was fat. I had failed to climb a mountain because I was sick with asthma. I was fortunate because it turned out that my illness was treatable, talking about the asthma. I was upset that I did not stand up for myself, that I had dismissed all of this pain all of these years, that I didn't recognize how much discomfort I was truly in, and that my fear was what kept me from demanding with my doctors that we try to get a better treatment option. Stories about weight bias and misdiagnoses often focus on the justifiable and understandable rage in the aftermath. That doctor should have known. People die because of misdiagnoses by physicians working from prejudicial assumptions about the health of fat people. Fat people are less likely to receive life-saving cancer screenings, often experience massive mortality impacting delays in an accurate diagnosis because doctors and even specialists are often insistent that all of their problems are attributable to their weight. I remember when I was 410 pounds, every single anything that was happening in my health, which thank God it was never anything major, but all of the anything that would ever come up, if you lost weight, if you just cut your fat and exercised more, and cut your calories, stop eating so damn much, right? They've all said that to us. And I wonder if the same symptoms showed up in a thin person, would they say, if you just lost a little weight? No, they wouldn't. They would go deeper, as deep as the mainstream medical profession could go, and they would try to figure out what's going on. This is why I love functional medicine practitioners, naturopaths, and other kind of nutrition-minded types of medical and nutritional health professionals, because they do go deeper. They don't care what you look like. They don't care what your fatness is. Obviously, they want to help you lose weight if you need to lose weight. But their goal is to get to the root cause of what's going on. It's one reason that I am so proud of my wife. She's a functional medicine, she's a nutritional therapy practitioner and looks functionally at her clients when she helps them with their nutrition. And there's no judgment on the weight. Most people come to her and most people desire weight loss, but she's not going to sit there and judge them and change what she would do simply because they have weight on their body. No. The weight is kind of the manifestation of other things that could be going on, but it's not the reason why they're having health issues. What is sometimes overlooked is the fact that fat people themselves internalize the lowest expectations of their own health, and then they don't report their symptoms, sometimes because we think we deserve them. Oh my gosh, that preaches. Because sometimes we think, I failed, I'm a bad person, I've allowed myself to get fat. Oh my gosh, I let myself go, and so this is my punishment, these symptoms that I'm dealing with. We've done this. If you're not fat or you don't know anybody in your life closely that deals with this kind of thing, we're verbalizing today a lot of kind of these internal thought patterns because we say these things to ourselves. Oh, okay, well, I deserve this. I deserve to have achy knees because obviously if I just lost some weight, those achy knees wouldn't be there. And we rationalize, well, it's because of my fatness that I'm unhealthy, when it could be something structural, it could be any other things, but we blame it on the fatness because, again, society has reinforced this idea has reinforced this idea that it's your fatness that's making you unhealthy. And we're repeating that lie in our heads. Or at least that we don't deserve to feel well. There's a lot of people that believe that have weight on their body, that they don't deserve to feel well. This is your punishment. This is your purgatory for being a bad person and not doing the things that you need to do to get your weight under control, and by extension of that, meaning your health under control. All right, let me finish up. We should be raging at the entire medical community for its failure to provide the same quality of care to fat patients, for putting fat patients in a position where they have to fight to have their pain and illness taken seriously. But we should also be vigilant and look inward at how living with external bias influences how we regard or care for ourselves, even those of us who know better, and even those of us who think we are immune by now. Fat bias is an insidious poison, both physically and mentally. None of us, not even the best in the world, is ever fully inoculated from it. I haven't been back to that mountain, haven't done my victory climb, haven't taken a photo to share with a teary Instagram caption about having remedied my failure with exultant success. You know why? Because I don't need to. My victory was identifying the parts of my brain still trying to negative talk me into self-loathing and then shutting them down. My victory was breathing. My victory was reclaiming my body again. Well done, Lesley Kinzel. Please, please, please go give some love to Lesley Kinzel. Fat bias kept me sick. Go look that up, you guys. This is on the Huffington Post. What a fabulous, fabulous article that as soon as I was reading it and I was halfway in tears, I'm like, I have to share this on Jimmy Rants, and I have to give my own Jimmy commentary, which you got lots of there in the midst of this rant here today. But I want to see what you guys have to say. So welcome in, welcome in. We're going to go to Instagram Live first. We'll come to you next over here on Facebook. So hang tight, you guys. Thanks for being here. Scroll, scroll, scroll. I guess you guys were listening to me read. Ashton, people are too quick to judge the outward appearance, not knowing the individual story or what they are doing to improve their health. And Ashton, that's so true. Here's what happens. People go on a ketogenic diet, for example. They lose a huge amount of weight, and so they're down significantly from their starting weight. And they may rebound a certain modicum of that weight loss. And so people say, oh my gosh, I knew that diet wouldn't work. You gained back all your weight. Are you anywhere close to where you began? No. Are you healthier than you were when you began? Yes. And yet there's the perception of, if you gain back even a modicum of weight, 40, 50 pounds, after you've lost well over 100 pounds, oh my gosh, you failed. Oh well, that was nice. You should get off that keto thing because it didn't work. You're still down 50, 60 pounds. You still have changed your health and improved everything about what you do. I think back. Luann, you tell them over here. I think back in the day before 2004. I used to drink 16 cans of Coca-Cola a day. Today, I drink 0. I used to buy the 10 for $10 Little Debbie snack cakes every single time I went to the grocery store, and I would eat 2 boxes of them at a time. How many do I eat now? That's right, a big fat 0. I used to go to fast food so much, so often. Taco Bell, 5-bean burritos without onions, add sour cream, soft tacos, on and on and on. I ate a bunch of crap. How much do I eat of that now? That's right, a big fat 0. I couldn't go 2 hours without eating and without being hungry. And now I can easily go 16, 18, even 24 plus hours between meals. Now you tell me, which of those 2 people do you think is far healthier? That's right, the me of today. And the me of today still has weight on his body. You bet I do. And I'm still working on that. But in the midst of that, can we not celebrate that people are making choices to make themselves healthier? If someone's engaged in doing something proactive about their health, why would we not encourage those people? That's the trickiest thing in this community of health. There is this notion that if you don't look absolutely perfect, you have no business talking about health, you have no business being in the community, you got to get your act together. And yes, I'm on a little side rant here, but this is personal, you guys. I get such negativity on a daily basis because of how I look. And never mind that I'm doing something proactive for my health. All of these comments come in and people are just like ugly, ugly, ugly. Not realizing in the big picture from 15 years ago to now is light years ahead of where I would have been had I continued down that path. I honestly believe, you guys, had I not changed 15 years ago, in 2019, I would not be here. I would be dead. I honestly believe that. I saw it happen to my brother Kevin. He had 3 heart attacks at the age of 32, and by 41, he was dead. He was dead. And so I don't stand here pretending like I have all the answers and I have the perfect body and all that. But what I do and share here on a daily basis here on Jimmy Rants is I share, look, health is all that matters. Health is the reason you're changing your diet and your lifestyle. And you can get health even as the weight's kind of being a little bit stubborn. You want to take a baseball bat to that weight sometimes and go, come on. Because if most people ate the way that I ate, they would be so slim and thin. And it just goes to show you there's other factors involved that can keep weight on the body. And again, I'm working on all those factors to try to get that under control. Through time and our society's mentality of not having to be model perfect, we've forgotten how to be loving to ourselves and accepting ourselves for what and who we are, says Ashton. Yeah, I think a lot of people, because of that negativity breeds more negativity. It's one reason when someone leaves an ugly comment on social media, I almost always delete it, because when one person sees an ugly comment, it spawns someone else to leave an ugly comment, which spawns someone else to, and it just cascades. So you have what I call the echo chamber effect on social media. If I see you try to pull that crap on my pages, just know I'm going to delete you. I'm going to block you, and very happily so, because we don't need that reinforcement of a negative message that probably 99% of the time is not true. Bonnie says, my aunt who passed away was probably 400 pounds and told me, Bonnie, my fatness is to protect me from people. It's my armor, and I loved her. Never talked about her weight. She was just being honest. Yeah, there's a lot of people that have obesity on their body, and they do feel very comfortable with it being there because they know people will shun them, people won't interact with them, and some people want that. It's kind of weird when you stop and think about it, because humans are mostly social beings and we want to be liked by other people and we want to interact with other people. But if you feel like you're trapped and there's no way to get that weight off your body, you're going to fool yourself into believing that your fatness is something that's good for you. And in and of itself, it's not. But in and of itself is not the be-all, end-all. Getting your health markers in order despite your fatness, that's the real trick. And that's where keto has helped so many of us. I feel discouraged. I look at my journal and at pictures from a few years ago. If I feel discouraged, Val says, I look at my journal. Yes, always see from whence you came. Tammy says, I hate going to the doctor even after losing 80 pounds on keto. Still considered obese because I'm so short. I wear junior sizes, look small, but that ridiculous BMI scale still defines me. BMI is so bogus. It has been debunked again and again and again and again and again. So don't look at BMI. There's a better one to use that's called waist to hip ratio. Go look it up, you guys. Waist to hip ratio is a far better way to measure your success. And quite frankly, you don't need to look at your weight because blood work can actually show you more of what's going on metabolically. Darla says, if everyone's fault was listed as their scarlet letter, if people would discuss those like weight. Where do people go off or get off judging you or anyone, says Hey Die. It's called social media and online. And in 2019, everybody and their mama has an opinion. And I tell people that opinions are like butts, and most of them stink. Exactly. All right, let's pop over to Facebook. I know we're going to run out of time here soon, so let's see what Facebook has to say. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Hello, hello. Let's see here. I usually have to watch them later because I never get online this early. Well, Luann, I'm glad you showed up today. This was the perfect one to see because I was in full-on rant mode today. Jai Khalsa says, my favorite thing is that all of the docs who have told me to lose weight have been heavier than me. That's a whole nother thing. It's a little bit hypocritical, and especially my doctor that I had to fire last year. It was so funny when we first went to see him. Very slender guy, but now that he's in like his 60s, he's got him a nice little belly. I've never said a word to him, but I know it's a direct result of his diet and nutritional choices. That's probably some of the same stuff he's told his patients. When I tell myself I can't wear certain styles because I'm too fat to wear those styles. Yes, Luann. There are people that tell themselves that. It's sad. Jessica says, certain people are nicer to me now that I've reached a healthy weight. I want to tell those people to piss off. Yeah. When I lost 180 pounds in 2004, there were people that would come up to me and talk to me suddenly that had never shown any inkling to talk to me before. And I'm like, how does that work? I was 410 pounds and I was invisible. But then when I got to 200 and something pounds, I'm suddenly visible to you? There was less of me to see, and yet you saw me more when I was lower in weight. Than guys, this is real. If you haven't dealt with obesity, hopefully you're getting a little peek inside the mind of someone who's had to deal with this bias. And then this bias also creeps into our own heads. My health is outstanding by all markers, just can't get the weight off. Well, keep at it. Don't stop. That's the key. That's the key. Giving up is not the option. Alyssa says you scared Bradley in the car when you yell. Sorry, Alyssa. Sorry, Bradley. But yes, I do like to yell here on Jimmy Rants from time to time when it's righteous indignation. Whoa, Kimberly wrote me a book. My OBGYN started talking about my weight and how I needed to lose it in March of this year. I just reached my 100-pound weight loss goal. I told her I was walking up to 7 miles a day, and then she immediately changed her tune. Crazy. Mind you, I had not visited that office in 8 years. I liked the doctor, so I gave her some grace. The 8-year break was due to my fatness. See? Kimberly's articulating exactly what we're talking about here today. I lost out on so much due to my weight. No longer. Keto has allowed me to engage in my own life. I will have to have surgery to my body now thanks to being overweight. I will never eat anything but keto from now on. This comes from the woman who called herself a fat blank. And over the past 15 years, I'm now starting to see my outward appearance change, but it's so darn hard, especially you guys, those of us that had obesity for years upon decades. I mean, I was always the fat kid growing up, and I had obesity on my body for all those years. And even you guys, after going on the Atkins diet in 2004 and getting down significantly lower than I was at my highest weight, the brain still saw that fat guy. And this is something else people that haven't had weight issues and lost a significant amount of weight don't understand. Just because the weight comes off the body doesn't mean the brain is registering that you're no longer obese. Still there. Still there. And thankfully, even with the added weight on my body, I'm long over that in my life because I see all of the great health that's happened as a result of the changes in my diet and lifestyle. And that health is what I'm focusing in on. I want to live to be 110, 120 years old. That would be a great goal. And I'm not so much worried about my weight because I know weight is merely the side effect of some things that could be going on, stress, lack of sleep, so many things, metabolic issues from the past. My mom had me as a cesarean section. She was over 300 pounds. So she passed along some really strong genes of insulin resistance, which makes it that much harder for someone like me to have my weight come under control. But by golly, forget the weight. All of the health is what matters more. And if I can keep my inflammation low, if I can get my insulin to consistently be in single digits, if I can do all of the things that are showing signs of health, I really don't give a rip what my weight is, even if society judges me because of it. Bill says, thanks for being the voice of this community. We love you. Thank you, bud. Luann said he looks so much better now. His skin, his smile, his energy, his outlook, it's infectious. Yeah, Luann sees me quite often, so thank you for that, Luann. All right. Hello. Let's keep the hearts and likes going. Thank you, Nancy. You're a sweetheart. A true depiction of what happens all too often. Yes, that is what happens, sadly, Nancy. Nancy says, I'm so healthy now. If I never lose another pound, I have gained so many health benefits. Nancy, for me, the thing that keeps me going, that if I never lost another pound, I would keep doing keto and all the things that I'm doing now. The thing that would keep me going is, you guys see me here on Jimmy Rants every single day. And do I ever look like I'm not sharp when I'm talking to you? Do I ever look like I'm kind of stuttering over my words? Okay, maybe I do, but do I ever look like my brain is not functioning at optimal level? I talked about this before on other Jimmy Rants, but I wish I could take this brain and go back into my early 20s and go to school again, because I feel like I'm so much sharper today than I've ever been in my entire life. And I wasn't a slouch when I was in school either, but how much better would I be academically? Alyssa says, I'll take not having fatty liver disease if it means I can carry more weight than some people and then think that that's okay. Yeah. This soul is bigger than his number has ever been on a scale. God sent me a friend for life. Yes, Kimberly, we are. We're buds now. Whether you wanted me or not, you got me. Let's see here. I used to love tasty cake. Now the thought of it makes my stomach churn. Yeah, there's so many of us that had those things that we used to think we would never live without. And now we comfortably, and not just comfortably live without, but are repulsed by now. Little Debbie just does not. I saw some the other day in a convenience store I was in getting a drink for me and Christine on a trip we made. And I saw this big display of Little Debbie snack cakes, and I was just like, ugh. I just saw a chemical crap storm is all I saw. Thank you, Patricia. I love you too. It's a journey, and those of us who have had a weight problem, says Patricia, admire your commitment. And well, yeah, you're human and backslide, but you know the path to better health, and we're not going to go back to the sad way of eating. I think you're informative and genuine in your comments. And Patricia, thank you for that. I get this quite a bit too. Well, you must have allowed a slip up to happen in your diet for you to not be able to have that weight be completely off. And let me correct that, because I don't slip up. I don't even really, quote, cheat, which I hate that word. I eat the same way that I always do. And I just think we need to acknowledge that there's people that are doing all the right things in their nutrition, and that it could be something totally unrelated to their diet. It could be a lifestyle issue, could be lack of sleep, or my theory with me is it's the stress. So when I go away for 6 months, we'll see how much that theory is true when I'm not doing anything. And I'm gonna try not to be stressed during that time. So I don't buy the notion of, well, if you're still, quote, struggling to get the weight off, that you somehow backslid. I have not. I'm as vigilant at this as probably anybody. And like I said earlier, if someone else ate the way that I eat and lived their life the way I live mine, they would be far skinnier than even I am. So yeah, maybe there's a whole nother rant in that let's not assume if people still have weight on that. And I'm not saying that you're doing this, Patricia. I'm just saying in general, people assume that because you have extra weight on your body, you must be backsliding. You must have slipped up. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do a rant on that one because I got a lot more thoughts to share. I've heard Casey from Go Keto with Casey say numerous times, says Patricia, do what you want or whatever works for you. Yep. Sterling says I'm 5'10", 170 pounds, 32-inch waist, but my BMI says I'm 0.6 points from being overweight. It's just a silly number. Yeah, don't at all believe BMI means anything. Patricia says body shaming sucks. Yeah. Well, and what we're talking about here today is body shaming yourself. Do you talk negatively about yourself, even subconsciously? You may not even realize it. You may not even know that you're doing it until you're kind of deep in and you go, oh my God, what am I doing? Annette says my doctor wanted to work with my diet, but could see in the blood work that I had Hashimoto's and hypothyroid. All she could see was my weight causing those things. Yeah. The mind doesn't always keep up with current changes on this way of eating. Nope, Patricia, it sure does not. Jessica says body dysmorphia still rears its ugly head. Yesterday was a fat day for me and I was a mess. I woke up today with better clarity. I wish we wouldn't talk that way about ourselves. And I know that's easy to say, but I'm right there with you. There are days, and I stood in front of the mirror today looking at my belly going, all right, what can I do to beat the crap out of you to make you go away? But I didn't beat myself up about it. It was just more of an acknowledgement of, okay, it's still there. What are we going to do about it today? What actions can I take today to appreciate that I have that, but then to do something about trying to bring that down? And I think if you keep a positive attitude about it and always remain proactive, that's the right way to think about this and not get too hung up about it or think you have a fat day. Patricia says, I lost 48 pounds. I still don't see any difference in the mirror and I still shop in the plus section. Yeah, that was a hard thing for me too. After losing 180 pounds, it was just like, okay, I don't know what normal is supposed to be. You mean I can actually buy clothes at Walmart now? Because I could never do that before. And then I could. I needed this today. Thank you, Tammy. Cheryl says, hi, Jimmy. I was the one at Keto Fest last year who didn't know you. There's a lot of people who didn't know me last year. I know you and I love you now. I too see the fat that hasn't come off. However, I feel so much better. I'll never go back to carbs again. Thanks for what you do. Thank you, Cheryl. I hate that I'm going to miss Keto Fest this year, but I'm glad that I got to meet people like you last year. 7 months with 1 pound weight loss, says Nancy. Not because I was eating off track, but my body was saying, hey, it's just not happening. I continue to trust this process and accept my way of eating will be my lifestyle no matter what. Now here's the thing, 1 pound over the past 7 months doesn't mean you've had no other benefits. And so reminding yourself of blood sugar coming under control, reminding yourself of inflammation going down, reminding yourself of blood pressure being normalized, reminding yourself of insulin coming down, reminding yourself of A1C levels getting better. All of those things to me are far more important than your weight will ever be. Because weight is fleeting. Weight is kind of, it's that wayfarer friend that likes to come and wave at you and go hang out with you for a little while if you get this nice little 3 pound weight loss. Oh, let's go out, let's have some fun. And you come back and then you never hear from them for the next 6 weeks. That's what measuring your weight is. And when you look at the scale and you have that, that's the night out. And then when you have a weight gain, that's where they've been gone for 6 weeks. Gut-wrenching. So don't look at it that way. Don't look at it in any way that matters in your health. I couldn't do a progress photo until I'd lost 60 pounds. My eyes couldn't see what the mirror reflected because my mind was blocked. Jessica, exactly. We don't see ourselves as who we are. We see ourselves with our mind's eye. We see ourselves with the perception of who we are. It's why we allow that fat bias to get into here. Even though we abhor that other people look at us with scorn, we think they're judging us because they're looking at us, and the medical profession isn't giving us all the right medical attention. We say all of these things about how other people should not be judging us, but we don't take our own advice, and instead we do just as much judging of ourselves, if not more. Can I get a witness, anyone? You know it. You know it. Did that keto restaurant ever open in Spartanburg? No, not yet. It has not. I will let you know when it does. All right, guys. So I think I had one other comment come in from Mary Ellen. Do C-section babies have issues with insulin resistance? I want to know about this. Yeah, actually they can, Mary Ellen, and it has a lot to do with when you go through the vaginal canal. As a baby, you get all of that good, healthy gut flora, and it populates it into the baby. When you don't go through the vaginal canal, you don't get that. And so I was a C-section baby, and anybody that's been a C-section, you have challenges with your gut health just because of that. And thus, by extension of that, you can also have insulin resistance develop. But with my mom, it wasn't just the C-section. It was the fact she was 300 plus pounds and insulin resistant herself. And so thus, what she was eating during pregnancy also contributed to my propensity for having insulin resistance. So it was kind of this like double, triple whammy. It's so funny because my mom's in her early 70s now. And she has apologized. She's, oh, I'm so sorry that I didn't treat you guys better and teach you. I'm like, Mama, you didn't know. In the 1980s, she bought into the low-fat lie, hook, line, and sinker, thinking it was the be-all, end-all, because we all did. We all believed that. And of course, I was a kid at the time, and so she kind of did what she thought was the healthy, prudent thing. See, guys, when you hear me talk about, like, dietary guidelines, this is why they matter. Dietary guidelines was what got my mom to eat a low-fat diet for so long. It's one thing that she taught us as kids so strongly was if you want to get healthy, you got to cut your fat. If you want to get healthy, you reduce your calories. You eat tasteless food. That's what we learned from her, and she learned it from the dietary guidelines and the food pyramid. That's why you hear me talk about so openly, so often, all of these things, because they matter. They matter. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. I hope you enjoyed this one here today. It was burning on my heart today, you guys. I couldn't stand that people still believe in their heart of hearts that they're fat, and they tell themselves that. The bias is real. The bias is real that makes you think you're unhealthy when you might be spectacularly healthy. So be confident in that. Be confident in that. JimmyRants.com. Go follow me live when we go live here on Instagram at Living Low Carb Man. Here on Facebook, we also simulcast live here. So go check it out, you guys, at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. On Instagram, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours. Here on Facebook, it stays here. You guys here, please share it all over the interwebs there on Facebook. You can hit the share button and it gets it out there and lets other people engage in this content. And I think this is going to be an encouragement to a lot of people here today. If you missed any of the past episodes, you can find them all on YouTube. So go type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, the best of the best moments of this here show are in podcast form, and this one better darn well get on podcasts. I'm going to make sure my web guy gets this one up as a podcast because it's just too important not to get this out there. So it's the Jimmy Rants Podcast on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. Go leave us a review. We need some more reviews, you guys, over on Apple Podcasts. So if you're the Apple kind, the Mac-y kind of person, and I'm a Mac fanboy, those of you that know me well, I have an iPhone here, an iPad there. I use a MacBook Pro to record my podcast. I have a MacBook, and I'm a Mac boy. Go leave us a review and let us hear from you. Let everybody know what you think about the show. And yeah, enjoy. JimmyRants.com is the link to all of the ways you can access this show and Instagram Live. I have like $1.20 left to talk to you, so shoot me with a quick question and I'll try to get it in before it just automatically stops. So question. Let's go. And I'll come back to you guys here on Facebook Live for the after party. If you watch me on Instagram Live, I actually go a little bit longer over here on Facebook Live. We do the after party with my Facebook Livers. But any last questions, you guys, before we leave here on Instagram Live? If I don't see one in like the next 10 seconds, I'm going to go ahead and end it on Instagram. But thank you for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, you are cray-cray for going all the way to the very end and seeing this crazy guy still talking at the very end. No, nothing? All right, I'm out of here. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.